at the end of the day, what people want to see is they want to see someone up on stage who is out there being their most authentic self, because that gives them permission to be their most authentic self.
You're listening to the podcast, Clean Comedy Chats with your host, Drew Davis. It's gonna be awesome and will change your life forever. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Welcome back to the Clean Comedy Chats. I feel like though this is like a two-parter episode. I feel like we might as well call it Murray Comedy Scene Part 2, like, because we got the second producer of Murray, Kentucky, Clean Comedy Collective comedian Sarah Hines. How are you doing, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you today, Drew?
I am doing really well. Last week we talked with Brad, who you might have met before, and he kept saying nice things about you. He really built. I feel like he really set the bar up for this episode. So we are just gonna have just the most amazing interview ever. And if anyone's listening to this, and maybe this is the first time you've ever turned on this podcast, maybe you're a fan of Sarah and you kind of want to see what's going on in this interview. I just let you know, Clean Comedy Chats. This is a weekly podcast where we interview a different comedian from the Clean Comedy Collective, which is a virtual comedy network. We have about 230 comedians from currently 30 states right now. The goal is to have all 50 states by 2027. We'll see. But yeah, the idea is to chat with a different comedian each week, and maybe you'll find your new favorite comedian this way, or maybe I'll just make another friend that many of the comedians, I already know Sarah a little bit, but some of them, it's like this is the first time I talk to them, so that's always fun. But if you like this podcast episode and you want to hear more interviews with comedians, feel free to check out our previous episodes. Feel free to check out our website, cleancomedycollective.com, that has all of like the shows and the comedians and places to donate and former podcast episodes. So and it will make all your dreams come true if you check out our website. Sarah is a comedian from Murray, Kentucky, also the producer, part of the second half of the producer. But according to Brad, he kind of made it seem like you do most of the work. I'll be honest. He's like Sarah's really the one who he's like, I have this show and she does everything else. So we're excited to dig more into that. Sarah, we first met at one of your comedy classes at Third Coast. Rhonda was your teacher, and I think I was just stepping in to like critique or whatever. I judge comedians. That's what I do that really well. So
no, Rhonda was Brad's teacher, and Evan Burke was my teacher, and you were the student teacher.
Yes. Okay. That now I remember. Sorry, I remember correctly now. Yeah. So that was really helpful for me because I was just starting to teach at Third Coast. So before you kind of have your own class, they let you sit in on someone else's class. So watching Evan teach was really helpful to help me figure out how I should teach. So okay, there we go. I'm glad one of us remembers things. So, well, cool. So you have been doing comedy, I want to say, for 2 or 3 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I've been doing stand-up for 2 years. We started that class in February of 23 or of 24, sorry. And I had done one open mic before I came to the class. So I was really new at the very beginning. But I've been doing improv comedy since 2012.
Right. So now would you consider yourself more of an improver or a stand-up, or do you do, but like some people are like hardcore about one or the other. Some people are like, whatever, I do both. Where do you fall in all that?
I think it's really hard to draw boundaries on anything in life, like to just like put anything in black or white. And like it's comedy. And we're seeing a lot now of like stand-up is increasingly, people are bringing improvisation into that, it's really a different outlook. But I think that improv is really difficult. It's difficult to pursue as a solo artist. You know what I'm saying? Like improv is about being part of a team. And when you're dealing with having 5 or 6, 7 different people, it's a lot harder to promote and move up in those things because, you can't get everybody together to drive 3 hours to Memphis to go do a show for $15 in the same way that you can as a stand-up,
Right.
It's easier to find some opportunities individually and move on.
Yeah.
But my heart is, I really do love improv as well.
That's very cool. So that's true though, because like in comedy, in stand-up, it's like, yes, it's a lot easier to find someone who's crazy enough to do that $15 7-hour trip than it is to get a whole group of people like, let's do this together and split the $15. So So yeah, what would you say are some big key differences? I have I want to hear some key differences between improv and stand up, but one of the kind of the first questions that have you noticed a big difference between like the audiences that you perform for?
Yes. So that when you're asking me about the differences, I think the number one difference is that I in improv the audience comes in and they want you to succeed. If you
Mm,
have a good improv audience, they want to be part of the magic trick of what you're creating on stage. And because it's coming from their suggestions, like they are there to have a good time and they want to be in an improv show. And there's plenty of great stand-up audiences who want the same thing. But
mm,
when you come into a stand-up show, there's a little bit more detachment and the audience is kind of further back and they're like, okay, you up there make me laugh versus
mhm.
like we're all going to create this thing together that I think is more of the feeling that comes out of improv. So I really love the like heart and love that comes out of improv audiences, but in stand up it's really beautiful to be able to go in and then connect with the audience and pull
Mhm.
them into that. Just crowd work's one thing, but it's also just the having the intimacy and the making them feel like you're coming up with all of this in this moment and the
Yeah.
connection of like this is the show for you. It's not going to be seen again this way. And I think that's something beautiful that you can take out of improv into stand up too.
Do you find it's like because in improv, I feel like you have to share the stage with your scene
Mm-hmm.
partners, right? Is that ever weird? Like, okay, I should back up. I'll tell myself. I did improv. I took one improv class, so I took
Okay.
several weeks of improv, and then I we got to do the big show at this theater. And I loved learning about improv. I loved getting to know my improv scene partners and stuff like that. I loved like it was fun during practice and the class and stuff like that. But then I realized when I had to perform in front of people like the audience, I didn't like sharing attention with the other people on the stage. And so I'm not exaggerating when I say that was the one improv show I ever did, and I've
Mm-hmm.
never done it since then. So it is it weird because you do both stand up and improv? Is it
Mm-hmm.
weird sharing the attention with the other people on stage, or is that never something? Or are you just a better person than me?
Honestly, when I started doing stand up, it was hard for me because I had no one else to share that attention
Hmm.
with. It like really freaked me out because in improv you can kind of go out on a limb further and trust that like okay,
Hmm.
I can go out and start this and I don't have to say something funny. I've got somebody else back here who can come in and I've got five people who can come out and support me and make it funny even if what I start doing isn't funny. But the first time I tried to do something in stand up and like didn't the audience wasn't reacting the way it's like I'm almost looking behind me to be like, okay, somebody come help me, but there's no one there. So I love staring the stage in that aspect. But
Yeah, that's
now
cool.
that I think if I'd done stand up first and then gone into improv, I think I would
Hmm.
have had that same hesitation because now sometimes I do feel like I'm like, oh, I have something good to say, and I have to be cognizant of like
Right.
this scene is going to be better if I let it be created by everyone.
And maybe that's what it was for me because like I believe I was about 3 years into stand up before
Hmm.
I because I took an improv class with the hopes that learning improv would improve my stand up in some kind of way, whether it's stage presence or crowd work. Do you find that either stand up or improv helps you with the other? And then if
Oh,
so,
for
how's that?
sure.
So
For sure. So one thing that I've noticed in improv, because I've been doing improv for so long before I started stand up, I think I had the improv skills when I came into stand up.
hmm.
So I can also show how I think imp or stand up has improved my improv, which is that when I'm hosting games, I find that that's a lot more natural for me. That used to
Hmm.
be my least favorite part of improv because that's the time that you have to go up and be like, "Okay, this is me. I need your
Hmm.
attention on me. I'm going to give you a lot of information that's not necessarily going to be funny, but I
Hmm.
have to give you this to proceed with the scene." So I think stand up has really brought a lot of that into my ability to do improv and just to command a room and public speaking in terms of that. And then moving into improv, how it's helped me with stand up. It's so much of like what I've learned about the timing and about being
Hmm.
funny and all of those things. There's a lot of transferable skills. I've also read a ton of improv books, and just the ideas behind comedic structure and finding the game and finding what's funny in a scene, those are all transferable not just to the performance aspect, but also to joke writing.
The last improv related question I have, because then we'll jump to other stuff. But like, what is your take as a professional improver and
Hmm.
stand up, or those are the exact words people use? Are this rivalry and war between improvers and stand up? I mean, it's like werewolves and vampires, or
Hmm.
like Marvel and DC fans. Why is there like, and do you fall anywhere on this? Like, what's the deal with the heated tension between improv and stand up? Or is that
So
just from the stand up perspective? I don't know if improvers feel. I've never sat down and talked to improvers about the tension.
I mean, I'll say here, I don't really feel much of that tension
Hmm.
because I don't think our scene is established enough. And also, we've done a lot of work in improv to bring stand up in because it's helpful for us. We host a comedy contest as an improv troupe. We have a format where we do, it's really fun, where we bring stand ups in and they'll do like a 10 or 12-minute set and then we improvise based on their
Oh,
set.
I've been on shows like that before. That's a lot of
It's
fun.
so fun. So I think we've created a lot of opportunities for stand up, even prior to me getting
Hmm.
involved in stand up. That was some of my first connections in stand up was booking comics for coming on these shows. So I think that's really been helpful. But I think part of the issue is that there is a little bit of a difference in the general attitude of some improvisers versus stand up, and there's a lot of ego involved in both.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but in terms of this like dynamic of teamwork versus um doing this as an individual, and also the opportunities for marketability. And so I think that, in improv, like, there's not really that many professional improvisers that people know and recognize as household names. Now, a
Hmm.
lot of improvisers, a lot of the comics that a lot of the actors that have started as improvisers. There's a lot of improv
Hmm.
background, but they're not famously known as improvisers. Of course, there are some, but I think that the marketability, I think that there's probably a little bit of tension there too.
Yeah, that's a good take. And you're right. I actually during my day job, we had an improv comedy show a few weeks ago, and it was very confusing to explain to people when they're asking about the people who had never heard of like improv
Right.
comedy. Because I kept on being like, you know what it is, you just don't know that you know. But I it was not unlike trying to explain Southern food to people from overseas. They don't
Right.
they we eat a lot of weird stuff that people don't. It's good, but and anyway, and so I do remember what I was gonna say. It wasn't a question, but it was an observation because you were talking about some of the natural how you interact with people that comes with like improv. And I do remember when I've seen you, especially when you first started, you did have a natural stage presence as a stand-up comedian when you're like up there, and and that's something that just experience on like stage and performing comes with.
Hmm.
But I think especially when you're doing improv, like I think that's a benefit I saw in watching you perform is it takes if people are just starting stand-up comedy, it takes them a lot longer to get that kind of what looks like natural comfort
Hmm.
on stage. And so that's something you would always I was impressed with when I was seeing you perform. I remember mostly when we had the open mic at Why Not Saloon. That's where I saw you a lot. I
Hmm.
mean, I might have saw you like in Evan's class as well, but
Hmm.
you do have a natural and it's not natural, it comes with stage experience. I mean, maybe it is a little natural, but like the improv helps with that, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. So,
So,
yeah, I appreciate that.
I guess I was just I guess I forgot that you have an improv, you help create an improv scene in Murray. I was just assuming you just come down and are part of the third coast troops or something like that, but you have a gang up there.
Yeah, it's actually in Paducah. So we've been
Oh,
performing in Paducah. Paducah Improv has been going for 13 years. I've been part of it for
very
12.
cool.
So it's really fantastic. We stopped for a while in COVID, but otherwise we've been performing shows once a month for 13 years. So
Wow,
it's
yeah. So
it's
you
really
guys
great.
are, and is it like the same troupe, or has there been like add-ons and like a TV show that has a rotating cast, or?
Yeah, there's definitely a rotating cast, but right now, like three of the people that are in it have been in it with me for 12 years. So,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So, do you have any favorite places that you guys perform? Any cool spots that you would like recommend to people? Like, go check out this.
Yeah, absolutely. We perform at Maiden Alley Cinema, which is a really cool independent theater in downtown Paducah. They show really great art house films, and we perform there on Thursday nights, the last Thursday night of every month.
Okay, very cool. So
Hmm.
that's good. What a great night. We here in Nashville, I produce a stand-up show the last Thursday night of every month. But if you're closer to Paducah, go to Sarah's show. Go to the
Yeah,
improv
for
one.
sure.
So
Yeah.
um now you do you because you also produce stand-up shows as well, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that's what I learned. I already knew that, but I also we were talked about that last week. So tell us about like some of the shows you produce, or like I don't know, like when Brad was here, he kind of had like he talked about Corvette lanes, and
Hmm.
I don't know if that was like his main show, but I feel like you might have like multiple. You might be doing more than just like one main one, but I might be wrong. Tell if I'm wrong, tell us about your main one. But
Yeah, so I produce a couple open mics, and I produce a show at Dry Ground Brewing in Paducah, and that's a monthly show, and we've had some really great people on that, and we've had like a full house every time. We started that, we've done 3 months now, and we keep having to
Mhm.
buy more chairs, so that's a great problem to have.
Yeah, well, that is wonderful. Yeah, that's really cool. Drag round, and is that you said that was a monthly show? Is that
Yeah.
like last Tuesday or last
It's not
Friday or?
the last Tuesday. It's not always the same because they also
Hmm.
have a bunch of bands and stuff that come in, and that's a free show.
Hmm.
And we take tips, and I've been able to give, money to the people who are coming in from out of town, so that's great. Our next one is on May 23rd.
Okay,
Um,
very cool.
yeah,
So,
and we've got Bryn Daniels, another Clean Comedy
oh
Collective
yes,
member coming in. Yeah.
yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, and she's wonderful. She produces the show down here. She kind of helps with our leadership. So, big vouch for Bren.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. And depending on the venue. Some when I work with people on like how to produce shows and
Hmm.
like the conversations of like should you charge for tickets to sales or whatever. Doing free shows can work depending on the venue. Like if they have an
Hmm.
organic audience, you can do a free show and then you can do like tips and donations and that you ends up making pretty good money from that. But if it's a room that like doesn't have a big audience and you're wanting to pay the comedian, sometimes free shows are a little bit harder. But I
Hmm.
just started a show in Columbia, Tennessee, but it has a big enough organic audience where I'm able to do a collection plate like it's church and end up
Yeah.
getting people. So I'm going to back up to something you said earlier and ask a question that's been on my mind about it. You had mentioned before you took your comedy class, you did one open mic.
Hmm.
And so I was going to ask you, do you remember your first open mic experience?
Yeah, I actually my first open mic experience was really good. So I lied. I did not do one open mic before I took my first comedy class. When I was like
The
20,
truth comes out here at Clean Comedy Chats. No, I'm just kidding. So, but go ahead and tell us your experience here. Either one's
okay,
fine.
so I actually did an open mic. I did two open mics when I was in college in like 2010 maybe. I was 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to drink at the comedy club,
Hmm.
and those went awful. I had this like list of jokes, and I thought that they were going to be so funny, and I went up on stage and I got no laughs, and I had challenged myself to do one thing every day that scared me. And so like I made this list of these things that scared me, and doing stand-up comedy was one of the things that scared me, and I went on stage, and I'm honestly surprised I went back. But I will say one thing from the experience, and I don't remember who this woman was, and this was in Lexington, Kentucky. I lived in Lexington at the time. So it was at the Comedy Off Broadway Club. So I was
I
doing a
enjoy that.
club mic. Yeah.
That was the first place I ever did comedy too, actually.
Really?
So yeah. So and
I
it
love
would have
it.
been like I don't know, like 2012 ish. So
Oh.
not too far from when you did your first one. It's
Oh,
kind of
right. So I've
fun.
been doing stand up at Comedy Off Broadway for longer than you. I guess is what we're saying. I know, I'm just kidding.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I did it twice and then I moved to Nashville, but I do remember. But you said it was 2010 ish, and so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I did two open mics and then I quit and didn't do anything again until 2 years ago. So I guess maybe I should tell people that I've been in stand up since 2010.
Yeah. What else was on your bucket list of fears to that you and do you still have knock away fears bucket list.
Um,
That's an interesting thing.
I don't even remember any of the other things that were on my bucket list. I honestly had a hard time finding more and more things that scared me. But I've done a lot of things that scared me. I've been skydiving and bungee jumping. Skydiving was
Mhm.
really scary, but I would
That sounds, I've always been
recommend
scared of
it.
that. You wouldn't or
Oh,
you
for
would?
sure. Yeah, do it.
Oh, okay. We'll see. I haven't made that list yet.
Do you want to know the scariest thing about it? About
Yes.
skydiving for me is I went outside Chattanooga and I went tandem jumping. So they had a parachute, a
Hmm.
person on a parachute behind me. So I did not have a parachute. And I was going to go first. And so I was sitting on the floor next to the door, and there's not a door to the plane. It's just like a big hole.
Mm.
And I asked the guy, I was like, "Are you going to close the door?" And he rolls down this like plastic sheet and he was like, "Does that make you feel better?" And I was like, "No, not really." And I was like, "Well, what if I fell out of the plane? I don't have a parachute." And he said, "Well, a parachute wouldn't deploy from this height anyway." So I'm
This
like,
is not comforting at all. Yeah.
but once I got out of the plane, it was great.
Okay, very cool. What so was it when you this has now become a podcast about bungee jumping and
Hmm.
skydiving. We've shifted, but I'm interested in this right now. So when you jumped out, when you finally did the plunge, literally, was it fun once you were free falling and like there was nothing you could do about it?
It was like exhilarating once we were free falling, and it went really fast. We weren't from a super high height. I actually got a Groupon for going skydiving, which my dad was very mad about because he was like, "That is not a time that you want to like skimp
You don't
on
want to, yeah, you
cost."
don't want to skimp on money. Yeah, that makes sense. That's yeah. Wow. Well,
So we did the lowest height, so we weren't in free fall for very long, but that part it was really like beautiful and like it felt like time was stopping. But once the parachute deployed, I was like, "Oh, great, I'm fine. This is really fun now." Like that's when it was really easy to enjoy because I'm like, worst case now I break a leg.
okay, that's good. Well, I wish I could say like, wow, listening to you tell me about that makes it seem less terrifying. But I literally feel the nerves over on this end just from
Yeah,
picturing the experience. So I don't know if I'll cross that one off my fear list anytime soon.
that's
But
okay.
now, you said that your first open mic later was a
Hmm.
better experience, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, totally. So I like had a set that kind of like it all kind of came to me naturally and organically at the same time. We were going to drive to Nashville and go to another open mic. We were going to go to one at Garage Sale Vintage.
Oh yeah.
And so I was prepared for that. I had this idea that I needed to do stand up for the first time out of town where I would know no one. And because I was like that way if I just completely bomb, I'll
Never
be
have to come
fine.
back. You'll just
Right.
never go back to Nashville ever
Yeah.
again.
Well, and these people won't remember me. They're not going to place it. So, I got my whole set ready, and then that mic got canceled because of a storm. But I
Hmm.
had gotten it ready. I read it to my husband, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's actually good." So then I felt confident when I was going into the one back home where I was actually going to know some people. And one of my friends, Jamal Gardner, was there, and
I know
he'd been
him.
doing stand up for a long time. And I've been friends with him since I was in high school, so it was really great to have someone there. And, I got a lot of laughs actually. But then I watched back the video maybe 8 months later or something. Because I had this, I don't know if people have this panic as comics, but I had this panic that was like, I'm not getting any better. I'm just as good as I
Hmm.
was when I first started. And I watched back and I was like, oh, wait, yeah, no, I'm way better now. That was not, if I felt good about it at the time, but it was not great when I watch it
Right.
back.
I frequently have that. I've had that experience where like at the time I'll be like that was a great set. I did
Hmm.
great. And then I sometime later, years later, I'll go back and look at it and be like, thank God I tell that joke better.
Right.
That was rough. So well I'm wondering if you have any like what your kind of big time
Hmm.
entertainment goals or hope for kind of what you're doing with everything? Because you got your I was gonna say hand in a lot of fires. That's not poker like a lot of the saying where like you have multiple things going
Hmm.
on. It's not hand in fire. That's what I was about to say. You have your hand in a lot
Irons
of
in a lot
fire.
of fires. Yeah.
Thank you. You have your irons and a lot of fires with
No,
the
I have a lot
improv
of
with
irons in my fire.
this is exactly the same. Yeah, anyway, you well between improv and stand up and
Hmm.
producing and just
Hmm.
doing all kinds. So like what are some goals you have for yourself? Like where do you see yourself going with your entertainment and comedy and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of came into comedy. I never expected to do stand up. I'd never wanted to do stand up. For a long time, my husband had been talking about doing stand up, and I was like, that the life sucks. I was like, best case scenario, you know what? You're going to be traveling 40 weeks a year for no money. Like that's why would you want to do that? And then I started it just something clicked in my head, like I had a spiritual awakening. Everything's kind of shifted and changed in my life. And I directed a play that was a comedy play at our local community theater, and just directing myself and immersing myself in a creative project like that, I was like, this is what I want to be doing, is that I want to
Mhm.
be completely immersed in the creativity, and like this is just all that's coming out of me. So I really see myself, pursuing doing more stand up and doing it and traveling more. I love traveling. I've always loved traveling all over the country in different countries. So just opportunities to come out and make people laugh. And
Yeah.
honestly, hopefully more online too. I think that's important.
Like online comedy, like Zoom shows and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah, or
saw.
videos, films, or sketches,
Oh
all
yeah,
kinds of
yeah,
comedy. Yeah.
that makes sense too. Now I saw you did oh, and probably at this point it was a while back, but when I was scrolling through I
Hmm.
before I interview guests I stalk them on social media, but I feel
Great.
like it's appropriate. But I saw you did a while back you did Paula J. Newen's
Yeah.
online pain to punchline show. How was that? We had her, she was actually our second guest ever on this podcast. So we've had her on before and she talked a little bit about the show, but that was do you remember that experience, the Zoom comedy show? How'd you feel about that?
It was a good experience. I honestly like I should have worked better on what of my jokes were going to translate
Mm,
better to a Zoom screen. Like this is like, oh, this is a chance to do jokes that are a little more heady, I guess, and a little less physical. And so I kind of had to reel it in on the spot, some of the physicality. I was like, oh, this isn't going to
mhm.
work. Um, but I think it's something I could get used to, honestly. It's strange to not have an audience to respond to and connect to.
The
But then
hardest
when you
part,
think
yeah.
about like, okay, so I feel really successful when I'm doing this show in a room for 40 people. But, the availability of people able to see this online is, I mean, it's infinite, and
Hmm.
not just, I mean, I guess kind of the scary part is not just for now, it's for forever. A YouTube
Yeah.
video can last, it can get a big surge in 3 years and you don't remember even making it. So that part, I guess, is a little nerve-wracking, but I liked the experience, and all the comics were really great. The quality of the comics was great,
Hmm.
and everyone was really nice, and it went well, and I would definitely recommend watching it.
Yeah, that was a fun show. But you're right about it like in any I guess the more you do comedy, the more you realize like different rooms have kind of different
Hmm.
vibes and you kind of learn how to which jokes work or which style or kind of which parts of your personality you turn up a little bit in different
Right.
rooms and stuff like that. But with the Zoom shows, sometimes it's like what jokes work, you can it's just kind of a different style and you adapt to it. And for a lot of I mean it's not one of my personal favorite styles, but I do think it's important because you do have an audience even if you don't hear them laughing because they're in the same room as you,
Right.
but oftentimes you do see the laughing emojis or the comments of people laughing, so that's good enough. So so, so now what would you say challenge wise, and you can take this in and because I mean you do so much, it's you're just creative, you do so much creative stuff.
Hmm.
What's one of like the biggest challenges of doing what you do?
Oh, for creative stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
I think for creative stuff, I don't know. They say like sculptors will. There's a famous saying that a sculptor is saying that the statue's already in the sculpture. It's just getting the rest of it out. I'm really butchering that, and I don't even remember who said it. It was
Yeah,
probably
I mean
like
it's no
Michelangelo.
hands in the fire, irons in the fire, but I appreciate the attempt of
Yeah,
butchering.
I was honestly just trying to make you feel better. I know exactly what I'm talking
Thank
about.
you.
I'm very smart. No, I'm just kidding. But it's the removal of the blockages in
Hmm.
whatever aspect of creativity you're talking about. And creativity is really important to me
Hmm.
as an artist. When I was starting stand up, I also went through the Artist Way, which is like a program that's about connecting through creativity and a higher power, using higher power and connecting to creativity. And it's really important to remove the blockages. And a lot of that's just like resistance to being seen. Sometimes it's like
Hmm.
resistance to visibility, but it's also resistance to like thinking that you deserve a opportunity or thinking that you deserve a connection or thinking
Mm.
that you deserve all of these things. So it's like removing the blockages of self-worth to get to what's really authentically you under that. Because at the end of the day, what people want to see is they want to see someone up on stage who is out there being their most authentic self because that gives them permission to be their most authentic self. So it's the letting go of everything that I don't think I should be in my head in all aspects of my life, and that translates to all aspects of creativity.
Yeah, that's really deep and very applicable for stand-up comedy. I feel like, well, I just in working with newer comics, just interacting with newer
Hmm.
comics, through like open mics and stuff like that, or like the ones that hire me for consulting. Like, there's, we all, because and I can say this because when I was newer, I absolutely this was me just as much as it's been anyone. But there's just this, the ego of like that you,
Yeah,
I mean, what I tell people now is like nobody owes you anything. Like
right,
it's you're not any of the opportunities or shows or like it's not like there's a like that you have something that people should be like, well, I have to book this person.
right,
Like realize that the way to succeed in comedy is recognizing that like you're not owed any opportunity. You kind of have to earn it, or
right.
find people that value what you're bringing to the table. But like we're all e- equally as important and also equally as unimportant. That's really kind of what it is. I mean, I do think we all have basic human value, but
Right.
in the grand scheme of entertainment, comedy is not fair, and it's not like you get owed anything. So,
Totally.
um,
Yeah.
so.
And comedy is crazy because it's also so fleeting. It's like you'll do a show and it's like this is such a huge opportunity for me, and I have this idea
Mhm.
like I'll build something up in my head and then I get booked on a 7-minute set on this and I'm like this is the biggest deal to me in the world,
Mhm.
but the producer's not going to remember me a year from now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's such a small scale. But it's really cool in that terms
Mhm.
because then you get to interact with some people who are doing such great, amazing things, and you
Yeah.
get so many more opportunities because it's not like someone's having to book you for a 6-month gig. Like there
Mhm.
you can take a little bit more of a risk on someone.
Absolutely. And each of those 7-minute gigs, while they may not seem I feel like you're always looking for the bigger and better, and
Right.
something you do now can lead to that
For
next
sure.
thing. And so which makes it fun because then you can kind of like just like you were looking at that video from months ago, I'm like, wow, I've improved. You can look at what the things that you're like, wow, this is so cool that I get to do it today. When you look
Right.
back later, you'll be further along and you're like, wow, that led to this opportunity, which led to this
Absolutely.
opportunity. Sometimes but if left unchecked, it can also give us some unneeded pressure of like, oh my gosh, what's this going to lead? What door is this going to open? I need,
Right.
but I don't know. Um,
It's hard. It's hard, and that's why this is a saying I do know is that we watched a master class where Steve Martin was talking, and he said being alone on stage is the ego's last stand. And that's
mhm.
that's really, I think, a beautiful way to sum up stand-up comedy is that it is this confrontation with the ego, and it can make it stronger in some ways
Mhm.
because sometimes you're getting these opportunities and then it's building into the I think I can create a plan that's going to go exactly this way and I'm going to force these other people to do what I want them
Mhm.
to do, and that's not going to work,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Or fortunately, because the real plan can be way better than anything you could try and create.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's with any kind of entertainment related thing, whether it's stand up or improv or any even like a show production. It's like there's a lot that's you can't account for.
Right.
Yeah, and which makes it exciting and beautiful and
Yeah.
awesome, but sometimes scary and oof, we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you have any do you have any stories of like um stories of bombing that like are kind of fun though, like kind of now that you look back it's like it makes for a funny story, but man, and it can be in any realm of production, but like where this is what we hope for and then it didn't happen at all like that. And last with Brad I shared about how a month into comedy I booked myself for a 45-minute spot. I didn't say it, I didn't give the whole story, but it was at a wedding. It was someone's wedding reception. And I was so confident. I was like, they asked for 30 minutes, and I was like, I'll do 45. Um, I know it's terrible. And I recorded it thinking like this is gonna be what I send it to Netflix. This is gonna be the and 45 minutes. I did speak into a microphone for 45 minutes. I got one laugh in 45 minutes. So it's a miracle that I kept doing comedy. And now it makes for a funny story, but it was a bit traumatic.
How much would someone have to give on Patreon for you to release the entire 45-minute set of you doing comedy at this wedding?
Oh my gosh, I wish I still had it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't have it, and I know that's exactly what I'd say if I did have it, but
Yeah,
like, but
we're gonna search your hard drive.
yeah, that would be and it's funny is those people followed my comedy career for a while. Like occasionally I see likes and stuff. But you know what? I like to think they saw me improve. But I haven't
Right.
seen any likes from them recently, so I don't know. So,
That is so funny. Okay. Yeah, but you think you can do it.
yeah,
In the beginning you're like, "Oh yeah, of course. I can do 45 minutes." And then you quickly find out you can't. Not
yeah.
usually that dramatically. Usually people don't let you do the 45 minutes at a wedding reception, which even for a seasoned comic, a wedding reception doesn't seem like a
No,
Mm-mm.
I can say now I'll still do if someone hires me to perform at their wedding, I'll
Really?
still do it. But well, if so, I mean, I get those gigs sometimes. If someone hires me, I'll do it. But like for anyone thinking about entertainment for a wedding, don't hire a comedian. That
Maybe go with a
is,
magician or a
yeah,
band.
yeah. It's just because the whole point of the wedding is to look at the bride and groom, like it's their day. All the attention should be on that. And for those little 45 minutes or less, I'm like, oh, instead, look at me. Like nobody wants to look at the comedian. It's just
That's
it's
funny.
anyway.
Okay, so my story about bombing. So I was doing my second level class at Third Coast, and I was practicing for the showcase set. And this story is really prescient because I was in the same theater. So the second level
Mhm.
class was in the Third Coast room, and we did a panel. And so I had Courtney Warner come in and Drew Harrison came in for my panel,
Yeah,
and
they're
with
great,
my
and I love them. They're cool people. So
they were
sorry, go
great. Oh no, you're fine. They were great. And Sydney Davis Jr. was my teacher.
hmm
And she was a really great teacher in that she pushed me really far, like
hmm
outside the boundaries. And it's something that I'm really grateful for. And I was doing all this material about how I learned how to speak ghost and like how, yeah, basically like that I was a foreign exchange student and I went to the astral plane and learned how to
Yeah.
speak ghost. Yeah, it was great. And I did it for the panel. And it was a great set, and we were practicing for our show and I got compliments, I got laughs. It was all good. And then I went to the Third Coast open mic and I did the exact same set on the exact same stage an hour and a half later and just completely bombed. And it was
hmm
so bizarre because it was like this is the same thing that worked before and it was so bad no one laughed and then at the end somebody went up and roasted me and they were like and what was with that girl this has been a weird night what was that with that girl who learned how to speak ghost um but it's okay. We can talk about it. She's gone, but I wasn't gone.
You're
So
like, I'm right here.
I did. I said I'm right here, and then he like walked out of the room without making eye contact with me. Um, so
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine.
No,
Even
I was that comic. I'm sorry that I said those kids.
maybe it was you. I don't remember who it was. No, honestly, it was great, and because like I was like first of all, it can't get worse than this because this wasn't a dead room. This wasn't no one was here because those kinds of
Mhm.
bombs you can like rationalize it.
Justify.
Like,
You're like, yeah,
yeah,
well, yeah.
yeah, they didn't want to laugh at anything or like, yeah, there were six people here. Of course, I didn't get
Mhm.
laughs. No worries. But no, this was like there were a lot of people there and they were laughing at other things. They just were not having me. Um, but it made me realize like I can do this even when it doesn't go well. You know what I'm saying? And to do the same
Yeah.
thing, especially in the same space, that's such a weird. But I guess that happens
Mhm.
sometimes with comics. You'll do a 7 o'clock show and the 9 o'clock show, and you might be fine at one
Yeah.
and just bomb the other. So it's
Yeah.
like it made me realize, like, oh, I can't take this personally.
Hmm. That's a great lesson in stand up in general, because even beyond the your performance on stage,
Right?
you learn not to take personally, like when you're shooting avail emails out to all the different
Yeah.
bookers or whatever, whether they, and it feels like if you let it, it feels like when people don't like your comedy or don't book you for something, it feels like they're saying like a personal attack to you, because our
Right.
jokes, they're part of us. They're like, we're sharing this part of us, and if someone's like, I'm not, we feel like they like saying, and you're terrible as a person, like, and they're really not, though. They're really
Right.
not. And but it's easy. But yeah, that is interesting, because you do, when you're working a weekend, you got, you have four shows on Friday and Saturday, and sometimes it's four great audiences, sometimes it's three great audiences and one
Right.
terrible audience. And the weirdest is, this is something we were talking about last night at a show, is when you have a full room but still not a great audience, where,
Yeah.
like, because like ideally what happens is, as they're laughing at the jokes, it kind of gets easier as the night goes on. But like
Right.
some audiences, for whatever reason, um it's like they laugh and then like they reset, and so it
Right.
feels like you have to like keep. And I've left routines before, like turn to the next comedian, like, man, I feel like I had that was a workout. Like I had to fight for every single laugh there, and then what's even weirder is sometimes you have audiences like that where you think like, man, I don't know if they like joy in their lives. I don't know if they like comedy. Uh, and then they come up to you after the show and they're like, that was so much fun. Thank you. And some people are just quiet laughers. Like some people are
Right.
just, they smile. And so that's the interesting thing about live entertainment, is
Hmm.
there's so many variables is with the people that you're entertaining. So there's a lot of metrics for success in comedy. The most clear one is laughter. Like if you're getting laughter, then that's a metric. You're like, that's doing well. But I've learned there are other metrics. After the show, if they come up and talk to you, they usually only do that if they like you and thought you're funny. If
Right.
they buy your merch, if they follow you on social media, if you get rebooked, like those are other ways you could. I've felt terrible about a show before, and then like the booker contacted me the next day and like, hey, do you want to come back next year? And it's like, I don't know if he gave me the year to get better, but like I was like, all right. But um
Well, and the booker knows their show and they know their
mhm.
room and they know what kind of reaction other comics get in that room and they can tell like they have an idea of like, oh yeah, this was kind of the audience was kind of a little off and weird tonight, but Drew did a great job with them.
Yeah.
And being able to just know there is sort of a thing that sometimes people go up there and be like, oh, this doesn't seem like it's going great. I'm just going to go up there and go off the rails and do whatever.
Mhm.
And that is a gamble that sometimes can work, but
Yeah.
sometimes you're like that detachment. If it's done out of malice, the audience knows that,
Mhm.
and then they disconnect anymore. But like the real magic trick is to go up there and to take an audience like that and then to bring them back in. And that feels
Yeah.
incredible to be
Yeah,
able to
that
do
is that
that.
is a good feeling to do. And yeah, there's that you kind of learn to, because I guess when I teach, I talk about how we're doing comedy with the audience, not at the audience. Like,
Oh,
and
that's great. Yeah.
there's like an organicness to it, and that's a hard. I don't actually know how to teach that, but I think the more you do it, the more you figure it out, kind of thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's sometimes you work them into liking how you do comedy, but sometimes you get up there and you're like, I'm gonna do things completely different because that's what it feels like this room's. And you're like you said, it's a gamble. But if done correctly, it can really pay off. This is a non-comedy related question. What are you geeking out on right now? Like what's exciting and fun, whether it's media or life or whatever, TV?
I
What's
don't know. What am
currently
I
the
geeking? I'm playing The Sims a lot still.
Okay. Is there a new one, or are we going like old
No,
school?
It's The Sims 4. It's the same one that's been out for a long time, but I got a new computer uh in December. So I my old computer like wasn't capable of playing it anymore. So that's kind of why I've been going back there. And I find myself a lot of times I'm like out somewhere and I'm like, "Oh, I just wish I could go home and play The Sims right now." Like I'm like I
Yeah.
want to leave where I am
Yes.
to go play The Sims.
That's the mark of a great game.
Right.
That's the and the Sims great because it's like I don't want to be in this reality. I want to
I
go
want to
to
be in the
that.
one I made.
Yeah, absolutely. I there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, we're all like that. We don't all play The Sims, but we everyone thinks that I don't want to be in this reality. I wish I could make my own.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Well, let me I'm going to ask you some questions from other people.
Okay, cool.
So here's the way it works. I updated it since the last one. We have 27
Oh,
questions. So, and I'm going to ask each you all 27. No, I'm just kidding.
okay, great.
So
Rapid fire.
give me three numbers between 1 and 27, and that will dictate which questions I ask you.
Let's do 4, 17, 23.
4, 17, and 23.
I feel like I should have a dice, a die,
Right,
a
yeah.
27-sided
Yeah,
dice.
yeah, you dodged but you did get dysentery. So,
Yeah.
so and just a friendly reminder to everyone, listening or watching, you can always send us in questions, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Drew Davis Comedy. If you're watching on YouTube, you can drop a comment with a question. If you're, you could just, I've had people just shoot me emails with questions. You can just, if you see me on the side of the road, you could just tell me a question. If I have my phone out, I'll write it in and add it to our list. But this is our Ask a Comedian section. So we have a comedian. And so here are the three questions we're going to ask. Starting with this one, which came from Facebook from Kristen Carnage. Nope. Well, not that it matters. It came from Threads, not Facebook. I like this one. This is a fun one. If your life was a movie title, what would it be?
Twisted, maybe? I don't know. It feels like everything's crazy right now. Twisted,
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna go
Twisted,
with.
right?
Yeah.
I think that would, and I think the art would like it could be a fun take on Twister movies, but
Yeah.
Twisted and yeah, yeah, similar, but cool. That's a that I think mine would just be like, we'll see. Just whatever image emotes a shrug is of uncertainty. That would be it. So next question, you might this actually comes from Craig Irwin from
Oh, great. I love
Louisville.
him.
And yeah, this came from Threads, and the question is, when is it time to ditch a joke you're working on?
Oh, that's hard. I think it depends how attached you are to it, because sometimes I think sometimes there's a reason you can't let go of it, but you
Hmm.
have to be completely willing to rework it to the point
Hmm.
that it looks completely different than the original. Like if there is something inside of it that like you're like I know something about this is funny, maybe the perspective is completely wrong. Maybe you
Hmm.
started at the beginning and you needed to start in a completely different place. Maybe you need to shorten things, or maybe you need to find corollaries. Maybe it's not relatable to the audience because of the setting you're using. But I think
Right.
if there's something that's really in there, um, then I think you can hold on to it. And but the other thing is you can also always put jokes away. I've had jokes that I thought were
Hmm.
really funny, and they just weren't getting the response that I wanted. But then later I wrote something else and there was a line from that joke that I was like, this was the
Hmm.
only good part of that joke. This and it works in the new joke. So I
Yep.
think sometimes you're just not ready for the joke yet. So don't be
Yeah.
so be willing to like be like, okay, I know that there's something funny in this joke. I think if you do it 3 or 4 times for a couple different audiences and it's just not working, then you're either have to put it down or completely rework it. Like
Yeah.
don't keep doing a joke that's not funny across audiences, but yeah, you can sometimes you can just leave it and then come back 6 months later and it goes in a
Hmm.
completely different joke and you didn't even know it was supposed to go in that joke.
Yeah, that is such. I've experienced all of that to be true. I think, and the starting of that is being objective with your material. If you
Right.
keep doing it, like you said, in three different rooms and it's not getting a laugh, don't take it personally, but also acknowledge this joke isn't it yet. It's not there. Yeah.
Totally.
So okay. This is maybe one of the weirdest questions I've read in this
Yay.
podcast.
I love
So
weird.
yeah, and I just want to remind you that you picked this one when you said the number. So this is more on you than on me.
Okay,
This one comes from John Ordover from Facebook. When you're making out, do you ever think when you're making out, do you ever think of a joke and ruin the moment?
I wouldn't say it, I don't think. I might think of it. I think I would not say it. But I would maybe like make an excuse to go write it down if I was afraid I
write it
was
down
gonna
real
lose
quick
it.
and then
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Don't ruin the moment, but don't forget it. Maybe have your phone nearby
Right.
to so there we go. Uh, that was that was random. I was like, all right, I forgot that made it to the list. So
I love it.
yeah, that's the point of these questions. We're asking comedians anything. So let us know if you have any questions. They don't all have to do with making out, though. You can ask us non-make out related questions, and we'll pass them along to the comedians. So, well, Sarah, first of all, thank you so much for podcasting with us and jumping and chatting. And I'm a big fan of what you do, and I always enjoy. We gotta get you back down here in Nashville sometime soon.
Yeah.
So,
I'd love to come to I love to come to Nashville anytime.
but do you have any? Of course, share with us where we can find you and how we can connect with you. But do you have anything you'd like to promote in general?
Yeah. So on May 22nd, I've got a show at Break Time Bar and Grill at 9 p.m. and that's in Benton. Carl Burrell's putting that one on. He's great.
Cool. I like
And then
Carl.
he's fun. Then the next day I'm at Dry Ground Brewing in Paducah. That's the one we were talking about earlier, and that's at 8 o'clock. And then you can come see me with Paducah Improv on May 28th at Maiden Alley Cinema, and we're gonna have 3 comics on that one as well. And then May 30th at Spellbound Bookery in Paducah. Yeah, and you can find me at Sarah Hines Comedy on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, well, and that's like it sounds like that's like a full week. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of Sarah for a week. You guys can
Yeah.
just get your Sarah fix. That's cool. Those are all sound like great shows. And of course, everyone listening, you can find us at cleancomedycollective.com. Previous episodes, current episodes, later episodes. You can see Sarah in our Kentucky part of the Clean Comedy Collective comedians. I'm in the Tennessee part. You can check out what shows we have coming up. There's an opportunity to donate and join the Patreon where you can see my 45-minute bomb at someone's wedding. Once we find that video, we'll put up there for only $3,000. So you can see it.
Steal.
That sounds good. But thank you so much for being on this episode, Sarah, and chatting. And we'll see you. I might see you next week. I don't actually know, but this is still like past tense. So I'll be in Murray next week. But
I'll be in Smiths Grove next weekend. But
okay, so
you won't hear this before the show's out, so you can't come see
yes.
me unless you already just happen to know.
Yeah. Well. I don't know how to end this podcast ever. Like my old podcast had a catchphrase that I would say. This one's like, "Well, thanks for coming. I'll see you all later." So,
except you won't.
except I won't. Sarah, have a great life. We'll see you. Enjoy prosperity and such.
Thank you. Bye, Drew.
See you later.
You're welcome.